I believe this was the base beer.
You knew it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen.
Told you.
What's going on, beer lovers? Welcome to another episode. I'm Jeff.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm John.
And what are we reviewing today, Jacob?
Today we're reviewing a sour beer from Monkish Brewing. This is called Vellichor with apricots.
And it's 9.4%. It's been aged in oak barrels for 18 months.
Yes.
Yes.
So the base beer Vellichor was aged in one of their foeders that they have for about 18 months, and then they put it on apricots. The apricot version of Vellichor was one of the easier ones to get, quote unquote easier, just because the other variants of
Raspberry.
Yeah, raspberry. What it says on the side. Yeah, raspberry and boysenberry. Those sold out in about 2 minutes online. They were just gone in an instant. So apricot was the one that held out for just a tad bit longer.
Well, I'm excited to try this. I love aged beers. Let's crack this open. You guys ready?
We're ready.
Let's have some beer. All right, guys, the beer is poured. Let's go ahead and go in for the aroma.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
So this has definitely got that tart, funky aroma to it.
Oh yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I mean, this is not my kind of jam of a beer. You know, I've been trying to be more open to it, so, you know, I smell those flavors. It's not overly funky, though. It's not like that, like, uber farmhouse, like moldy feet, gym socks. You know, that kind of aroma. It's sweet. It's tart. Slight funkiness, but not too much.
Sweet, tart, and funky.
This definitely has some funk to it for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely has some funk to it.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, you know, enough talk about the aroma. Let's dig in and see how it tastes.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh. Exactly. I feel it in my jowls. Right here. Do you get that? I feel it right back here.
So if you've ever bought a box of lemon heads and you just like down the whole box, but now pretend that it's not lemon, it's actually apricot soured.
Yeah, it's kind of what this is.
Yeah.
The funkiness comes out in the flavor too a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, it's not overly funky. It's a really tart beer, but you know,
It's not overly tart though. I've definitely had sours that were way tartar, way more like pucker, like there's no way I could have finished this beer, right? Type taste.
Yeah.
I don't get this so much from that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because they use apricot, right? Versus
or it's been aged in the barrels. Maybe that mellows it out.
maybe that mellowed it out.
I don't know
I'm not
though.
really
That
sure.
would make it more funky, right?
Honestly, I think it's because Monkish knows what they're doing. When it comes to sour beers, as much as everyone is hyped about their IPAs, Monkish first got their big kind of, I don't want to say break, but they first got their big, this brewery knows what they're doing because of their mixed culture beers. And this is one of those kind of ode to what they were first founded on. They know what they're doing with sour beers in Belgian style.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm not a huge sour fan, but Monkish always does well with their beers. You know, I'm trying to keep an open mind. obviously this isn't going to be my go-to beer, but as a sour beer, I mean, it's enjoyable. My only fear with a beer like this is I feel like if I drank 1 or 2 glasses of this, I can't really drink anything else. Like this is a
Okay.
like if I go to a beer bar and they're serving a sour like this, I could enjoy this, I could drink this, but this is all I'm drinking all night. Like I'm not changing it up at all. But it's still a good beer.
Yeah, it really sets your palate for just this taste, right? So what Jeff is saying, right? The sourness, the tartness, the funkiness. Changing up beers, it's almost as if you wouldn't really taste much of the other beer if you changed up beers. But it is actually drinkable. Like I said, I've had sour beers that are like blow your palate out to the point that you're like, yeah, no, I'm not drinking this again.
Yeah.
Like I took a sip, I'm good. You know, I'm not having another, right?
Yeah.
I don't actually experience that with this beer. It's actually it's a sour that I could drink as long as that's the only thing I'm drinking.
Well, and I know a lot of you viewers out there, you sit there and you ask us in the comments, when are you trying a sour? When are you trying a sour? Like, try a sour beer. And, you know, you get one in a blue moon that we review, and this is one of those blue moon kind of days. And, you know, I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with the flavor. I mean, it's not something where I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna have to struggle to finish this. Like,
right.
This is a good beer. So
I mean, if you didn't see, he poured himself more, he poured Jacob more, and he poured me more. That's a sign that Jeff likes the beer.
Well, and it's a pretty big bottle, and I intend us to finish it. But, you know, no beer left behind in my eyes.
I have to say, my mouth is salivating though. Like right.
Yeah, but you know, like my palate's not blasted out. Like I've had so many tart beers where I'm like, well, there goes my palate. See you later.
Yeah.
Like, see you next time.
And so I gotta say, this is something that Jacob actually brought to us, and I believe one of your top beers that you enjoy are actually sour beers. So I would love to hear what you think of this beer.
So this was actually about already a year, maybe a year and a half old. I think it's still tasting great. You taste a lot of the apricots still. You taste a lot of oak. You taste a lot of just the nice, balanced acidity. That's one thing that I always look for in a sour beer is where is the balance in the acidity? Sometimes you get breweries that go really hard on the acidity and it's like, that's not what sour beer is about.
Yeah.
Sour beer is about a real great expression of the yeast, of fruit, of funk, of just the kind of terroir of wherever you're making the sour. Sour beer is the closest beer ever gets to wine. So you really need to let kind of the earth speak for it, as weird as that might sound to beer drinkers. When you're drinking good sour beer, you're kind of like drinking wine. This is good. This is what I kind of want from an apricot sour. Monkish really knows what they're doing. That's why I buy Monkish sours. Yeah, this is nice.
So aroma, ranking wise, what would you say?
I'd probably give it an 8 or 9. I could probably go for just a little bit more barnyardy funkiness, but once again, that's my preference. I like the weird aromas when I drink sours and smell them, and just I like that weird just funk and cheese and just weirdness. And the weirder you can get me, the more I'm like all in board. But this is delightful. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Jeff, what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of funny because I would probably rate this an 8 for one specific reason, that it's not so funky and, you know, that ugh, like, that's how I think, but the ugh.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how else to describe it.
No worries, not for everyone, so it's fine.
Yeah. But man, the apricot really comes through on the aroma. You get a little bit of the tartness. I'm keeping an open mind with this beer. I mean, it's definitely not my necessary go-to, but I mean, as a sour, it definitely is something that I would be happy to drink. Yeah, so I'd give it an 8. How about you, John?
Well, I have to say the aroma is tart. Definitely smell the apricot. To me, the tart overpowers the apricot on the aroma. But based upon my expectations of what I'm drinking here, 8, 8.5.
There you go. Nice.
So I'm not particularly fond of sour beers, not particularly fond of IPAs, but as you can see sitting right in front of us, right, you have IPA, sour, and I'm more of the Irish red type. But we can all sit here and say, like, this is actually
A good
like
beer.
this is a good beer,
Good aroma,
right?
Sure.
For what it is, it's a good beer. So yeah, I would say like 8, maybe 8.5.
All right.
All right, so let's talk about the flavor. John, you want to go ahead and start on flavor?
I would absolutely love to start on flavor. It is tart. It's got a little funk to it. Some apricot going on in it. I'm gonna give it an 8.5 as well. 8.5 on aroma. Well, 8.5 on aroma, and 8.5 on flavor. It's what I was expecting. I mean, if you crack open this bottle, I pour it out, and then all of a sudden it tastes like an orange sour or something. Like, it would be like, what the hell is this crap, right? But that's not what it is. It's true to the label, it's true to the bottle, it's true to what Monkish brewed. And that is absolutely beautiful in my opinion, right? I think Jacob definitely is speaking the truth when he says, like, Monkish knows what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and so I give it an 8.5. So, Jacob, what do you think?
For me, I'm really enjoying this. This is just apricot tart juice, 9 easily for me. I kind of give it room. If it was a little bit more funky or a little bit more just kind of weird, I'd totally be fine with that. That's not necessarily a dig on what they're doing. What they're doing is excellent. If they do more of this in the future, which I'm sure they will, I'm gonna buy more of this. Yeah, I bought 2 of these bottles. Both of the ones I drank, excellent. So if you have any of these, feel free to drink them. If you want to save them for later, I think they'll also be fine. Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
Well, for me, I'm actually surprisingly enough going to give this a 9 on flavor, you know. You get the tardiness, you get the apricot, you get slight funk, which I'm not a huge fan of, which probably is why it's not a 10 for me. I love the oakiness too. The oakiness really comes out in the flavor. But when it comes to drinking this beer, here's the thing. I'm not a sour guy. I'm definitely not a sour guy, and I am rating this on the fact of the beer alone, not necessarily what my preference is. But what I will tell you is, you know, my boys at Native Son, wearing their shirt, love you guys. You know, a lot of those guys that work there are big sour fans, and they always try to get me into sours. I've just been anti-sour. It's just not my jam normally. The more I'm drinking this, the more I'm enjoying it. You know, I'm sitting there going, man, the bottle's empty. I keep pouring a little bit for each of us, and I'm kind of like, you know, I could probably go for a little bit more. So for that, I got to give it a 9.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So now it comes to the next round of, would you buy this again? So Jacob, would you buy this bottle again? Would you buy this beer again?
Oh yeah. I mean, I wish I had also the boysenberry and the boop or whatever the other variants were.
Raspberry.
Yeah, raspberry and boysenberry. I wish I had those variants of this bottle because the apricot is tasting delicious.
Yeah, it really is.
So I really envy whoever else has those with the bottles.
If you want to send them our way, if you're still aging them,
Yeah.
just saying.
I have to say for me, I would probably buy this again. Not that I would like buy it every week, but it actually is good. And if I could get my hands on a boysenberry in my mind and in my palate
Yes.
right now,
Yes.
that actually sounds freaking really good right now.
Yeah.
If the apricot tastes the way it does, I can only imagine, my mouth is salivating. I can only imagine what the boysenberry tastes like.
Oh yeah.
And so I believe that if I could get my hands on a bottle, I would definitely buy it.
Yeah.
I would buy it so that I could share it with my friends, though.
Yeah, I mean,
This is a share style bottle.
Absolutely.
This is
Yeah.
not a bottle you sit at home and drink by yourself.
You
Otherwise, you
can.
have a problem.
you can.
You can, but
I
you
don't
probably have a
absolutely
problem.
I won't judge you.
Absolutely can.
Don't judge
So.
you.
Well, when it comes to whether or not I would buy this bottle again, I have a couple things that I got to clear up. First off, did you try a bottle before you started aging it?
You know what? No, I didn't really try this fresh. The first bottle that I did have was already aged easily over half a year, which I enjoyed. But no, I didn't really try it fresh.
Okay. Well, my curiosity is this. Like, I'm curious what this tastes like fresh from the brewery. Wondering if that's going to be a different flavor profile. The other part is if they do make this beer again, if they change up the recipe. I mean, most breweries are going to kind of tweak the recipes a little bit. They typically do that if they release a beer that they've released prior. And I think you're kind of spot on. I think most sour fans are probably going to want a little bit more funk. So that kind of makes me concerned. Like, I don't want more funk. I think this is about as funky as I can go before I start going, no, not my cup of tea.
From what I've had, this is about as funky as Monkish gets.
Okay.
So if you like this one, you'll like other sours from Monkish.
Excellent.
So
Well, on
shouldn't be a problem.
on that note, I would say I would buy this again. It is definitely a circumstantial type of beer that I would buy. As John said, it'd be with friends. I have quite a few beer lovers who are big fans of sour beers. And, you know, if I had them over as a guest, this would probably be a beer I would love to have in my fridge and be able to crack open and serve to them, because I know I can enjoy it and I know that they can enjoy it. So in that aspect, yeah, I would totally buy this again. So with that, you got to see the review of Monkish's Vellichor Sour with Apricots. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below if there's a beer you'd like us to try next. If you've had this before too, tell us what you thought of it.
Yeah.
And if there's like another sour beer that's in the same kind of ballpark you want me to try, because I'm open to getting into sours if they're gonna taste this good. Yeah, definitely. And Jacob from Craft Cascade, thank you for joining us, and thank you for bringing this beer. Excellent beer. And we'll see you guys next time on Let's Have Some Beer.